So this short video is, I'm just going to have the opportunity to walk around a classroom and to tell you a little bit about what I'm thinking in terms of the toys and resources. So what happens, this is a heuristic play session and the toys and resources are out. And obviously the children move all the stuff around the classroom, take it from here to there, slip it into boxes. And the ultimate challenge of team leaders is making sure that the toys and resources stay together in the right places. And there's a few things that you can do to help that. First of all, making sure that every box is clearly labeled with the things in it. And making sure that what's on the box is actually what's inside the box. Quite often, boxes are labelled and then it's different sets of things or a combination of things that end up in the box. This means that you need to regularly audit your boxes, all of the boxes in the classroom. Open them up, take everything out and make sure only the things that are labelled that should be in there are actually in there. And you don't necessarily need to do this as the team leader. You can delegate this to members of the team. And if you do this regularly, today we're going to sort out this Kallax. In 2 days' time, we're going to sort out this. Later in the week, we're going to sort out the shelves. If you do those things regularly, that helps your classroom stay organized. You might also find that some of your labels on the boxes, something like tablecloths, you're always going to need tablecloths. But other kinds of art resources or materials, you might not have enough to fill a box, and that might change throughout the year as your levels of resources change. So you might also need to update what's in the boxes and what goes where. Don't feel afraid of stepping in and reorganizing how things are stored and managed in the classroom. So let's just take a walk around the Armadillos class. Certainly when you're doing things like heuristic play and any other types of play, it's really important that you don't just use the resources that are immediately available in your classroom, but you liaise with other team leaders and you borrow resources from around the building. They must go back afterwards. Today we were setting up for a rainbow tour and I found a parachute that we've been missing for ages. The small parachute I found in the baby classroom inside their fabrics box. And that's because the boxes aren't being regularly emptied and checked through to make sure the right resources are in there. I would also recommend labeling the shelves so you know exactly what should be on the shelves and where they should be. So although these boxes are labelled, the shelves here are not necessarily labelled all the way up so that anyone coming into the classroom can easily find things. And if you move them, that's fine. Take off the label and replace or reorganize the toys or the resources. Let's go into the back room. So this morning when we were setting up, there were actually 2 boats and one of the boats had a big piece missing here and it was still out and it was still with the resources. It's very important that if there's broken equipment or broken toys or things that are not in good condition, that they're removed from the general play area. They're either thrown away or they're replaced. It's also important that they're not just dumped somewhere. I understand that you might not immediately be able to get to something to fix it. So you should allocate one place in your room or one place in the building that's your things, that you know the things in there we need to come back to and we need to fix and we need to organize. All of the resources should be labeled in both Hebrew and English, and they should be with durable labels that are not easy to pick off and remove. And all of these should be sorted, ideally on a daily basis when the classroom is closed, to make sure that they have the right resources in, but at least weekly you should tackle each set of toys and resources. What's also important is that you review regularly whether the children can actually use and play with the resources in the way that they're meant to be. So, for example, at the beginning of the year, the Armadillos were not able to screw these in and to do bolts. Many of them are now able to do that. but there's no point having these out on a regular basis if they can't be used and they don't know how to use them. So these would be better off in an older class and coming down when the children, reach the age where they can actually use and play with the resources. When you bring new toys and resources into the classroom, it would be a good idea to introduce them during a focused activity or a adult initiated activity, where with every child you show them, you teach them how to use the resources, and then they appear in the setup or the continuous provision plan. It's important that you keep the cupboards and the areas well maintained, that even in the areas that are not accessible to children, that they remain well labelled and you know exactly what's in them. It's also a good idea to swap resources and toys with other classes, not just for use today, but on a regular and on an ongoing basis. So you switch the resources that your children have access to every few months, so they end up with different construction toys, different blocks, and things that maybe are more age appropriate as the year progresses. That's it.